All right, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm joined with Mr. Jake. Jake, dude, welcome. You've been absolutely crushing it. And yeah, basically like double the business, hit a record $32,000 a month.
Yeah.
And just like it's been such a cool journey seeing you just like implement everything. You had a baby not too long ago as well.
Yeah.
So throwing that in
Yeah.
the mix with everything, it's pretty crazy. So
Yeah.
yeah, man, welcome to the channel. Really excited to chat with you today and just gonna yeah, pick it apart, break it down a little bit. Might just give me a quick little rundown on yeah, kind of who you are, what you do, and your offer is super cool and unique. And so yeah, maybe we'll kind of dive into that quick too.
Yeah. So I'm Dr. Jake Ebner. I own an in-person practice called Carl Muscle and Joint Clinic, but then I got certified in functional medicine a couple of years ago and then started getting into genetic testing. I was interested for myself, but then was like, oh man, this is really cool. I've always loved looking at blood work for the past decade, really, as I got into bodybuilding and powerlifting and all that. So kind of just something that came a little natural to me. So then I kind of saw this gap with online personal training where I've done some online personal training for people, but it's so saturated, it's a little harder to set yourself apart. And so I was like, well, you know what, maybe offering like blood work, comprehensive blood work would be a good way to kind of set myself apart. And then so I did that a little bit. Then I was like, well, maybe offering genetic testing will set it apart even more. So we can look at, 170 plus genes, look at exactly someone's health, what exactly is going to work better for them. And so it's not so cookie cutter, and so it's very specific to what one person will need. So then I kind of saw that gap there of people were offering some of the testing, but they weren't offering the coaching part of it. And so I was like, hey, so how can I blend all of this together and how can I fill in that gap and find my niche? And then I found, okay, hey, so blood work, comprehensive genetic testing, and then offering a coaching program. Because a lot of times people get results and okay, it's all a bunch of jargon. Like, what do I do with this now? And so I'm like, hey, well, how about we hop on calls weekly, bi-weekly, and I coach you through the process, give you a nutrition plan, a workout plan, a supplement protocol of what you need to follow based on your genetic code, but also your blood work and how we want to improve certain, biomarkers in the blood, but also how can we turn off or on certain genes using nutrition, exercise, supplements, and yeah, so then that kind of just took off since I had that idea. I started doing it a little bit, but then I connected with you, and then it just skyrocketed. So yeah,
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I love how you just like identified the gap and then you just filled it, gave the market exactly what it wants
yeah,
and then some as well,
Mhm.
which is really cool.
Yeah.
Um, let's talk about the growth. Like what was it
Mhm.
like going from yeah, like when we first started working together to like
Mhm.
running ads, all that kind of stuff. Like what were some like the biggest levers for you?
Yeah. So I was roughly making anywhere from like last year or like around January last year, I started running ads for the first time in my business ever. And I was like, because I just was always nervous to pay for ads, because like, what if it doesn't work out? Because that whole kind of, you
Yeah.
probably hear it a lot. So I started doing that and then definitely got busier in my in-person practice. But then I was like, man, this just, I'm just working my time was started getting more and more like smaller and smaller. I was like, okay, do I open up another clinic or do I hire somebody else? But, hiring somebody else for the in-person stuff, it's just, especially them have to be a doctor or something like that, just malpractice stuff, it just seemed like a headache. I was just like, gosh, I just don't know if I want to do that as much. Then I got, started doing online low back pain programs last year. And I was like, and then I did that for a little bit, just didn't have the passion behind that as much as I've always loved training people. I love bodybuilding. I love powerlifting. I love being in the gym. I love looking at blood work, all this stuff. I love writing nutrition programs. I'm like, well, why don't I just take what I'm really passionate about and transform into something else? So at the time I was making, we're probably last year of January, 10,000 bucks a month with in person primarily, 10 to 12. And then did the ads for a little bit, didn't do enough of it to really see much of a change. I just wasn't really super gung ho about it. So then beginning of this year is when I connected with you. I was like, yeah, I'm just going to go, I love Jeremy's stuff. I'm going to go all in on the ads and just not worry about the cost of it and just see what happens. So then, at that point, then the in-person stuff was making about 15 to $18,000, but I wasn't making any money online. So So I was like, oh man, the in-person stuff was nice because it was kind of, again, supplemental income to help support the online stuff and getting started. So then I was like, I have no excuse. I want to do online stuff forever. So then I jumped in with you guys. And then literally, I think the first month was a little slow. I think I did one or two, a couple, maybe 5,000 bucks extra that month, which is great. I was not complaining about that.
Mhm.
Then the next month it jumped up to 32K. The second month I did it, and it was just like took off. And hiring the setter was a game changer. That was because I hated DMing people all day. I'm like, I have no time for this. So hiring a setter was just a total game changer. And talking to you and your team has just been like, oh my gosh, just transformational. So then I went from the 15 to 18 to then being like, oh wow, I'm consistently making over 20 now. And most of that was from online. And so yeah, that's kind of the journey into all this.
That's awesome. And where's your head at with like balancing in person online? Because I know I can imagine it being such like a different kind of experience.
It's tough. Yeah, the hardest part about it is just, and then having a newborn in the middle of that is its time management is super tough. So it's like, yeah, I get most of my work done. If I wake up at 4 in the morning, change my son, hand to my wife, she feeds him, and I'm at that point I'm like, okay, well, I sleep for one more hour, I just get up now and start working. So that's pretty much my routine now is balancing the in-person stuff's pretty easy because I don't have to do anything outside of waiting until they come in for the next visit because all their exercises are on an app and everything. So I don't have to like really do much because I know I'm going to see them in the next week in person. Online's tougher because when you're doing the genetic stuff, the blood work, people do have a ton of questions all the time. And so just managing that and then learning okay, how do I get somebody who can, 80% of the work that I'm doing, someone else could probably do. So how do I start to offload that? So that's something I've been thinking about, but it's tough to manage it all for sure. My mind's got to be sharp pretty much 24/7. So yeah, so the gym for me helps a ton. That's like where I get most of my clarity and I
Mhm.
get my best ideas when I'm working out actually. So I think the gym has been one of the biggest things, and just knowing that I have you guys to talk to. Been working with Dawson too, and that's been really helpful. Of just knowing if I do have questions, I have someone to run it by, and that helps ease my mind a little bit. But yeah, the time management is the toughest part. But when I don't know, my thought is you're passionate enough and you care enough, and you have people relying on you, you figure it out. So, yep,
Winners win regardless, man.
yeah, that's right. Yep.
That's awesome. Super cool, man. And so, yeah, hiring a setter was a big one because obviously you're a busy man, and being in your DMs, if you're anything like me, is probably not like your idea of fun.
No,
And
not at all.
what was that process like? Were you kind of like hesitant to get a setter? Because I know some people are like kind of plugging a stranger into their Instagram. Um, it can be nerve-wracking to some. Like, what was that
Honestly,
process like for you?
I was ecstatic. I was so pumped to have somebody because I was so tired of messaging people.
Mm,
And then that was taking up most of my time. And I was like, I wonder how many leads I'm losing because I can't message people, all the time.
yeah.
Having a setter in, I'm like eating dinner with my wife and kid. And all of a sudden book 3 calls. I'm like, oh my gosh. And so just the time it saves is like the best investment. One of the best investments I've made is hiring a setter. And so, yeah. So anyway, learning that from you guys, I was nervous to like, when do I do? Oh, I need to be making a certain amount of money, and realizing, well, not necessarily. If you're getting enough DMs, enough followers, stuff like that from the ads, you don't have to have, 100,000 followers to have a setter. And I didn't really realize that. And then after talking to you guys, realized, oh, it might be useful to have that earlier and get that process started. And that has been a total game changer.
What was it like training them up?
I built out. I took like a while building out like a kind of a training module that I would just send to the setter. Like, hey, here's exactly. I took a video of myself kind of talking about it. I actually used my VSL for some of the training. Just send it to them and just say, hey, here's pretty much what I do. And starting to teach them some of the jargon people throw at you. Hey, do you test for this? And setter will text me, what is he talking about? And so I started to kind of build out just some Google Docs of like, hey, here's all the information on this, and that helps them a ton. So then I don't have to hop on a bunch of calls with setters and say, here's what you need to do. I just record a couple videos And so that training process wasn't too bad. The early, like when they first start, it's a little tough because um, again, it's not just a normal fitness program, so you can't use the same kind of jargon. So, but honestly, the setters that you guys have sent me and stuff have been just really smart, just very intuitive, um, ask really good questions, and so it just definitely takes pressure off too because I used a setter in the past that just a lot of spelling errors and just questions where I'm like, hey man, they think this is me, so when you ask that, it's a reflection of me, so it looks not very good, you know. And so your guys' setters super respect the setters that you guys, you know, essentially send my way, or Dawson did. Super professional, really smart, ask questions, know what they're talking about. So it's really easy to train them because they're just very intuitive. So
That's awesome. Yeah. Because one thing I do hear often is like, oh, my offer is very technical. How can I train up somebody else to speak like me in the DMs when they don't have the background that I do or the
mm,
experience and stuff like that? And
yeah,
so,
okay.
yeah, love the idea of like building a document. And then now you have that too. Like, let's say something happens to the setter. Well, your
Mhm.
next one, they can train themselves up. And
Yeah.
yeah, I built this this document for myself. It's called How to Succeed at Summit. And so
Mhm.
I sent it to every single new team member. It's probably 30 pages long and just breaks down like my whole story. So my background, so they can get some like familiarity with that. Breaks
Mhm.
down like our ideal clients, like kind of like ICP one, two, and three. So like who we really want, who we can help, who we don't want.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
and then just goes in a lot more like detail and depth there and kind of just like, okay, who are we as like a team? What are our goals? Where are we going? What's our culture like? And then so people can kind of self-select in or out. And
Right.
yeah, been very, very helpful. And then between that and
Mhm.
sending the VSL as well is huge.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. I need to build out a longer one because I still get a lot of questions, but that just takes time building out and realizing, oh, these setters or these, you know, whoever ask these questions a lot. I should probably put a little, you know, thing together that explains this, you know, but
Yeah. I'll send you mine
yeah,
after the call here. That way you just have a version of it and you can see.
cool.
And then you can just kind of, yeah, tweak and play around with it. But it's been
Awesome.
super helpful. And
Cool. Thank
yeah,
you.
team members love it and everything too. So
Okay.
that's cool.
Sweet.
I'm curious, what's been like, what's been difficult? What's been
Hmm.
some like, what was like one of the hardest things to kind of tweak? So obviously, like getting things off the ground, like you said, the first month was a little slower, like 5K, and then things really started to pick up from there. Like, was there
Yeah.
anything that was like overly like challenging?
I didn't expect it to get as busy as it did off the bat. And so again, the time management and managing that many people, especially when it comes to their own health on this level, when it's like blood work and genetic testing, they do like they do expect a lot more, especially when you got doctor in your name, you know, they're expecting a different level of like versus some gym bro who wrote a bodybuilding program, you know, it's like they probably don't expect much from that. Versus this, they're expecting, I've had these gut health issues for 3 years. I'm expecting to figure out what's going on. And so there's like I think the pressure of, you know, having one or two is not bad. Having 15 guys sign up in a month is like, holy crap, I gotta, you know, so I think that was the hardest thing is like giving myself enough time to give them enough time because it was just happened so fast. So that was the toughest part, which is not, I mean, I'm not complaining about getting too busy too fast. But that you can run into problems with that, you know. So that was tough, but then you just figure it out and just some late nights, some early mornings, and you kind of start to, what it forced me to do was systemize things faster. So now things are a lot more systemized. I have automatic emails that just kind of go out to people, starting to realize the need for, hey, I should probably hire a, you know, registered dietitian as a coach who can just, hey, here's this guy, here's his height, weight, here's the nutrition program, here's everything within his genetics and blood work, write a nutrition program based around these parameters. And then so that's I'm actually talking to a gal later after this call, who might be my first hire for a coach in terms of, you know, just having her write the nutrition programs because she does it probably more than I do actually, and she's gonna probably be better at it. Um, But the nice thing what that does is that offloads, that's in that 80% of work that I'm doing that someone else could probably do and maybe even better than me, where that will free up so much time where I can focus on the delivery, the packaging of it, um, and all of that. And so I think that was the toughest part at first was, gosh, I have so much to do in a short amount of time because, I'm promising them this by this time. So I got it. So it just happened so fast. That's been the biggest hiccup I've run into is just the time management part of that.
100%.
Mhm.
What's next for you? Like, obviously from here, you're balancing in person, the online. Like, what's the ultimate vision? Where are you trying to build this thing to?
Yeah, man. Some stuff has changed quite a bit actually since, I first started with you guys and, um, I've just gotten so much interest in this from online and even my in-person clients where we'll probably keep an in-person business to a certain extent, but, I won't say the name of it yet just because, it's not for sure, but I'm going to essentially most likely start a men's and women's health clinic that's in person. And
Cool.
there will be a telemedicine portion of that, which essentially is what I'm doing now. And so it'll be all the umbrella of this certain name, which you and I can talk about it after the call. And so, because I'm just like, I love the in-person rehab chiropractic stuff. Can't see myself doing that for 30 years. I can see myself doing this forever, because it interests me, it energizes me and everything. So that's kind of my goal is to eventually be most of the stuff I do is online, but having a team for the in-person stuff. Because my in-person stuff does so well. I just don't think I could ever, and people love it. People like me a lot, not trying to like brag or whatever, but people like that they come to see me, and so I just don't think I could get rid of that. And so I think if I can just have a team that can kind of run that in-person clinic, and then I can focus more on the online and build a really solid team for the online stuff, and kind of have those different streams of revenue. I think that would be my main goal is to kind of build out both of those. And so finding like a medical director to kind of go over all that. So there's a lot of things that need to happen, but that's kind of my next thing, man. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Let's say there's somebody watching the video right now who's kind of feeling stuck with their coaching business. Like, what advice would you give them? Maybe they're doing it for a while, grinding out really hard, not really seeing much progress, and they're just kind of spinning their tires. Like, has there been a time where you were kind of just like questioning everything, unsure about, hey, is this the right thing that I'm doing? What would you tell that person right
Definitely. I mean, you can ask my wife. She's
now?
like, I question myself all the time. I think that's normal for entrepreneurs. I think if you're not questioning yourself, you're probably not wanting to level up. If you're questioning yourself, like, man, am I doing enough? Am I doing the right thing? It means you care, which is the first thing. If I was just like, whatever, then it's like, I don't know. But a lot of, I think they call it the curse of competency, where it's you're essentially, you expect yourself to achieve at such a high level that when you don't, you get really bummed and you're like, am I doing the right thing? Is this really worth it? But that either is going to make you super successful or really miserable. And yeah, a lot of entrepreneurs have a mix of both, I've realized. And miserable is just, maybe a strong term. Yeah, it's hard for sure, but I wouldn't trade it. Wouldn't trade it for working for somebody else any day. So I think for people that are stuck, I think the biggest thing that helped me was finding somebody who knows way more than I do. Instead of just trying to, you got to work harder and work smarter. And I was working really hard, but I wasn't working very smart, where I was not finding people like you. I was just like, let me just Google a bunch of stuff and watch some YouTube videos. And it's just like, unless you invest to a certain extent, whether that's monetary or time, you're probably not going to view it the same way as if you just like, well, I'll watch some videos tomorrow. You got to put some skin in the game a little bit. But again, people are doing that every day and still not seeing results. And so I think for me, the biggest change was, doesn't matter how sucky it is for how long. I know for a fact this is where I want to be. I'm so passionate about this. I love it. And so whether I have the worst month of my life or the best, it has to stay consistent, because you look at any successful person in the world, they've all had not just one slump, but probably 50, 100, whatever, depending on what profession they're in. So it kind of just comes down to grit, in my opinion, is there's someone else who would love to be in your spot, and you just got to want it more than that person all the time. And I'm kind of jumping around a little bit. There's a lot of thoughts on this, but in my opinion, it is grit and how if you can just outlast other people, then you'll be successful. um,
Oh, I love that, man. Do you think
yeah.
that's like, is that something that we're born with, or do you think you learned that at a certain point?
I got that from my dad for sure. My dad is an absolute savage when it comes to this stuff. He grinds all the time but he's also very present. So I was very blessed with that. But I mean, he would come home 7 p.m., put us to bed because he started multiple of his own businesses. 7 p.m., put us to bed, all that stuff. Go back to work till about 3, 4 a.m., come back, about 5:30 in the morning, get us up, get us ready for school, sleep for a couple hours, and go back to work. I mean, he just did that for 10 years straight. And it's just like, all right, if my dad can do that, I can suffer a little bit too. So I think some people are more born with a predilection for that grittiness, but I do think it can be a learned behavior. And it's just, but I think it's like genetics. There are some things that are just you're kind of born with that innate desire to grind and to work really hard and to achieve those things. But I think it can be a learned behavior, but like anything you want to be great at takes what 10,000 hours to be a master at something. So again, that's why I always think about it. It's like, well, I've put 500 hours in this so far. So I've got about 9,500 to go before I can. Yeah. So I think about that stuff all the time. But again, I think it can be learned, but I think some people are kind of born with that really innate desire to achieve great things.
Love that, man. Well said. Is there anything else that you want to talk about today? Anything else that was like imperative about just the journey, success, any like tactical thing? It could be mindset. Or if you think we covered it all, we can wrap things up here as well.
Yeah, man. I think having someone to talk to that's been through it helped me a ton. So whether it's you or my dad or some other businessman I know, um, so I'm like, man, am I the only one feeling this way? And then I talk to them like, oh man, I feel that every day, or this happened. I think that is really important for especially newer entrepreneurs is surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals who aren't doing all the crap that you try to get rid of to become an entrepreneur. But also people who are in the same boat as you at the same time, but also people who have been there for the last 30 years. They've been entrepreneur, they've done all what you've done. I think that's so crucial because it makes you feel less crazy. Then you start to realize how crazy you are because all those people are somewhat crazy. But I do think it helped me a lot with my mindset and just realizing sometimes I'm just being kind of a baby. I'm just complaining about stuff, and they're like, "Yep, this is what you signed up for." I mean, it'll lead to this eventually, or you can, quit and do something else. So I think surrounding yourself with people who will be honest with you, who are in the same boat, but also who are ahead of you. I'd say that is probably, in my opinion, one of the most important things you could do as an entrepreneur starting out. Yeah.
Love it, man. Love it. Well, Jake, brother, thanks for coming on the channel, man. It's been an absolute pleasure. Congrats with all your business success, family success, and it's gonna be just yeah, so cool. Like hearing your story about like you looking up to your dad as a role model, and like I just know that you're gonna be that for your son, which is like
Mhm.
really, really special. So he's lucky to have you, man.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeremy. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Of course. All right. And with that said, we'll see you in the next one.
All right.